Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your boy Shauna. I'm back with another video. Today we're going to be reacting to Swimming in a Dirty Pool is Changing Me by My Story Animated.
My name is Kiera, and I've gone through some insane
Hi
things.
Kiera.
When I was younger, my life was like something out of a storybook, and then it became a horror movie. I grew up in a loving home with
From going to heaven to going to hell.
my mom and dad. For so long, everything seemed great. Both my parents loved me, I got good grades, people at school liked me, and I was even dating a cute boy named James.
Oh my god, is that James Charles before he switched to the other side, guys?
Honestly, I was kind of living the dream. And then I entered high school. I started drifting away from my mom because she started being secretive and weird. She quit her job and I never found out why. When I asked,
Mama be hiding
walked
something.
away from me. Some nights she slept on the couch, and some nights I even caught her up in the attic, moving old boxes around. It was really confusing. By the time I was a sophomore, I could hear her and my dad fighting with each other every night through the walls. It made me feel unsafe and super uncomfortable. One night, my dad left for a business.
Why wouldn't you ask any questions? Like, I would ask the father, like, I would ask my dad, I'd ask my mom if I would eventually get upset and then I'd be like, tell me what's going on.
This trip. I hate to say it, but I was relieved. My dad was my hero, and when my mom acted weird,
She was relieved when the dad left, but now she's saying the dad is the hero.
he was there in ways she wasn't. But him being gone meant no more fighting, so I was excited. Or should I say, I was excited for about an hour. An hour after he left, I heard the front door fly open, and heavy boots rush into the house. I crawled out of bed.
Oh, Mama's man's is home.
And walked downstairs to see the absolute last thing I would have expected. There was a man standing in my living room, helping my mom frantically drag boxes out of the house. I couldn't breathe. I didn't even know what to say. I had never seen the man before in my life, and my mom was crying. When my mom looked up and saw me, she pulled me out of the house after her and tried to force me into the man's car.
Oh my god, like what the hell?
I started screaming, demanding to know what was going on. My mom said we were leaving. She introduced me to the man, John, and told me that we were going to stay at his house for a little while.
This is your new dad now. This is your new father, so get used to it. We're living in his mansion because he's richer than your daddy.
Hand around my mom's shoulder, and I gasped, Mom, cheating on my dad? Is this why she'd been so weird this whole time? I tried to get out of the car, but my mom and John blocked me, keeping me trapped in the back seat. I started screaming for help. I didn't want to be a part of my mom's infidelity at all.
John looks like he has zero risk in.
Then headlights shone on the house and the car. My dad was home. Apparently, he didn't go on his trip. The look on my mom's face was pure terror. John slammed the car door on me, closing me in.
Oh my god, now they're gonna
I didn't
fight.
hear what they were saying, but eventually the cops arrived and dragged my dad away. From that point on, my life was a nightmare.
Wait, the cops
took my
arrested
for
her
being
dad.
aggressive during the fight, but I honestly felt bad for him. Before I knew it,
Who gets arrested for being too aggressive? Like, okay, I can get if you like hit someone or something, but like you don't just get arrested for being angry. That doesn't go.
I was living with my mom at John's house.
What are these? What are those? Oh my god, ew.
And I did not like John
She be raw dogging it on the couch.
at all. He didn't try to get close to me. He barely even talked to me, but he was all over my mom constantly. He was basically obsessed with her.
Oh my god, it's like almost like he's trying to be
It made me
Cupid.
super uncomfortable. My mom explained to me that she was sorry, but this was what was best for us. I told her I just wanted to be with Dad, but she just wouldn't listen to me. Every time I tried to call him, my phone wouldn't go through. I didn't understand where he was or why he wasn't answering me.
Because he was in jail, girl. Your daddy's sitting in jail.
This went on for a couple of months. I spent most of my time with James, my boyfriend, but even he thought the situation was sketchy.
Because he's busy putting makeup videos. Girl, you don't know behind the scenes.
He told me he had weird feelings about John. John had even warned him to be careful around me or bad things would happen. That sent shivers down my spine. I was just trying to keep my sanity in this insane new world. One night, I woke up to music playing in the front yard. I opened the window to see my dad standing in the grass, blasting
He done broke out of jail. Oh my God, your daddy be a criminal.
music out of his phone and telling my mom and I to come out. I tried to run out to see him, but John stopped me in the hallway. He grabbed me and threw me over
Oh,
the shoulder,
heck you,
pulling me,
John.
kicking and screaming back into my room. He held the door so I couldn't get out. My dad walked away after John yelled at him. I didn't understand why, and I was so hurt. Every time I tried to talk to my mom or John about it, they would fight with me. I was fed up. Things with John and my mom got worse and worse. It felt like it was all about them, and I was just a burden. When they left for a business trip, I was honestly relieved. For once, John was decent. He gave me the keys to his car and told me to just relax by the pool all week. Of course, I invited James over to keep me company. We had a great time together. One day, I decided to dip in the pool and relax. James didn't swim, but I think he definitely enjoyed the view anyway. But about halfway through swimming, I started to feel horrible. My vision
The pool doesn't even look dirty, but
was
okay.
blurry, and my stomach was throbbing with pain. When I looked at my hands, they didn't even seem like mine. I tried to stay above water, but
This happened to me before though. Tell me why this happened. You know when you swim in pools and like the chlorine and stuff like that, blah blah blah. So I opened my eyes in the water and my eyes were not burning. So I just kept swimming and stuff like that. I wasn't wearing goggles, guys. Yo, next thing I know, the next day, everything was just blurry the whole day. It was like so blurry. But then it just went away after a while. I think because of the chlorine or something.
I started to completely black out. The last thing I saw was James's panicked face. When I woke up, I couldn't believe my eyes. I heard beeping all around me, and doctors that sounded panicked.
Hospital.
I touched my face and realized there were tubes in my mouth, and there was cloth over my eyes. What had happened to me? Had I drowned? Had I had a seizure? It was then that I realized how much pain I was truly in. My insides felt like they were on fire. I tried talking or crying, but I couldn't. I had to just lay there until I finally knocked out again. My life was like that for days. I couldn't see. I could only hear as I drifted in and out of consciousness. At times I could hear James at my side, reading to me or telling me he loved me. Then it would be my mom and John. Honestly, having John nearby made me wish I would just pass out again.
Oh my God. Just get rid of John. Throw the whole man's away.
I actually heard my dad try to enter the room. Him and my mom got into a massive fight. She was screaming at him to get away, and he said that with me injured, I needed both of them to work together to help. My dad was right. There's nothing in that moment that I wanted more than my dad. It took about 2 weeks, but finally, I was starting to feel stable. The doctors unwrapped my eyes and kept a close look on me. My vision was garbage. I could still see, but it was like I was looking at the world through dirty glasses. The doctor sat at my bedside and told me the truth. I had been severely poisoned by someone who put a chemical agent in my pool. The coma I was in and the seizures I had.
Is that actually a thing? Like, does that actually happen? Can you actually poison someone by putting chemicals in the pool?
And I was going to have to learn how to walk all over again. My skin had burns all over it, and it was going to take me years to
Oh my
look normal again.
God.
I started to cry. I felt like I was a monster. Then the doctor asked me who would try to poison me. Was there anyone out to get
John, I told you guys, don't trust John. Don't trust John. Oh, it was James. You could never know, but I have a feeling it was John. Throw the whole man's away.
me? Anyone who had influenced me to get into the pool? Immediately.
James, was it you, James? James, did you poison me? Damn it, James.
Mine went to John. He told me to relax by the pool. He made sure I did it while they were out of town.
Oh, John, you sneaky little. How dare you try to poison me? Never.
This whole time, he had wanted my mom, not me. I was convinced it was him. When I confronted them with that, my mom told me I was insane. John had tears in his eyes. He swore he had nothing to do with it, but I saw through him. He hadn't wanted me in his family at all. He had just wanted my mom. So much so that he took her away from my dad. So much so that he was willing to poison me.
I actually don't think it was him. I think it was James. James has been suspicious from the beginning.
Mad. I told the hospital that they weren't allowed to see me anymore. I told them the only person I would see was my dad. Unfortunately, he didn't visit. I tried calling him, but my number still wouldn't go through. For weeks, it was just James and I. I had to go through painful surgeries. I had tubes in almost every part of my body, and I couldn't even walk myself to the bathroom. The doctors even had to shave my head for one of my surgeries. It was
Oh
horribly embarrassing.
no.
And once I was nearing the end, James stopped showing up. I went to my physical therapy appointments alone, with tears in my eyes. When I texted James, I got no response. When I looked at his social media, I realized I was blocked. Just like that, I was completely and totally
I told you James had suspicions.
alone in the world. Or so I thought. I really lucked out with my physical therapist because he was a
Oh my god,
was
now she fell in love with her physical
smoking
therapist.
hot,
Like,
big
what the
rubber
hell?
man. His name was Miles, and when he saw me crying, he wiped my tears. It wasn't long before we were hanging out after physical therapy. My hospital stay was coming to its end, and I realized I had nowhere to go. I was freshly 18, my mom had cheated and run off with a guy who tried to poison me, and my dad was absolutely nowhere around. I'm not proud of this, but for a few days after my release, I slept in the park on a bench. I went
Why?
around different fast food places desperately trying to find work. I eventually got 2 jobs at 2 different fast food spots so I could make ends meet and afford an apartment, and thank God I did. Some of the things I saw while I was living in the park were not okay. The whole time I was in the park, my mom was desperately looking for me. She kept calling me, but I knew she wouldn't leave John, so there was no point in even bothering with her. Once things calmed down, I tried to talk to the cops about getting John arrested, but they kept telling me there was nothing they could do. They didn't even think it was John, which was totally insane to me. I was heartbroken, but as time went on, Miles was
It
there
was
to help me. He
James.
saw me at my
Oh my god, the physical therapist. She's dating him now.
worst, and he was there for me through all of it. He moved into my apartment, and for a while, my life was stable.
Why does she look like that doll from what is that thing called? Toy Story. You know that doll without the hair? Toy Story. She looks like that.
I would get random creepy calls from my mom and John every once in a while, but the horror of him trying to poison me started to fade into the background. Then I got some incredible news. I was pregnant. After all I went through, I was going to have a baby with a man who loved me and everything seemed right in the world. Except I still
Presente.
felt like I was missing something. I knew I didn't want my mom involved with the baby, but I definitely wanted my dad involved.
Mission find dad.
When I was about 7 months pregnant, I went on a mission to find him. I visited all the old
Quite
places he used to
literally.
go. I called all of his old friends. I even went to my old house and asked the owners if they knew where he was, but there was nothing. I started calling all the hospitals trying to reach him, and that's when I really started to worry. Had my dad been hurt? Was he homeless now? Finally, I called the last hospital on the list, and they told me that he had been in their custody for over a year. But it wasn't a normal hospital. It was a psychiatric hospital. Had my dad been so torn up about my mom cheating?
What the hell?
He had lost his mind? I drove over to the hospital as fast as I could. When I saw my dad, my heart broke. He was skinny and scared looking. When he saw me, his eyes lit up and he
Dude
hugged
looked
me.
like a scarecrow.
We talked about the good old days, and he rubbed my belly, telling me how proud he was that I was going to be a mom. I told him I wanted him to be a part of my life, and asked how he ended up here. He told me my mom had had him committed after she cheated on him and the doctors wouldn't let him go. I couldn't believe it. I promised him I would sign him out. He had raised me for almost my whole life. Now it was my turn to repay the favor. I told him he could come live with me. When I signed him out, the doctors tried to tell me not to, but I didn't listen. I know my dad, and I knew my mom was the real crazy one. My dad slept on the couch of our house, and he helped around a lot. He cleaned the dishes and cooked, and all around he seemed kind of normal. But whenever
At least
I
he
mentioned
did
Mom,
something,
would get
like he
really
didn't just
upset.
be
He took my
useless.
car every night to drive to work at his job as a janitor at a local school, and having him around was a dream. Him being gone at night meant Miles and I had our own private time. But soon, Miles was eager to have him out of the house. He told me my dad creeped him out, and I didn't quite understand it. Miles told me my dad had said some weird things about family to him, but I kind of brushed it off until I couldn't anymore. One morning, I got in my car and it smelled disgusting. The back seat had empty containers of what looked like bleach. My heart was pounding and I knew something was wrong. When I tried to pull out of the yard, a cop car.
It was the dad. The father poisoned the pool, trying to poison the wife's man's, but then John, yes, the father tried to poison John, but then ended up poisoning his own daughter, trying to poison John. That's why he put bleach in the pool instead of chlorine.
Car pulled out in front of me. They put me in handcuffs and put me in the back of their car.
So James had nothing to do with this. James was just a useless item in this story.
Questioning. I was so confused. Being 8 months pregnant at this point, I was terrified something would happen to my baby. When the cops sat me down, they were actually nice to me. They explained that there had been a cluster of poisonings in family pools around town in the past month. Poisonings just like the one that had happened to me. They hadn't happened in years, and suddenly, with my dad's release, they were happening again. I didn't want to believe it. My dad wasn't a murderer. He didn't poison people. Why would he ever want to hurt me? He could never do something so horrible. But about an hour later, the cops pulled my
Throw the whole husband away. Ex-husband.
dad in,
Throw the whole father
and
away.
they were carrying evidence behind them. My dad had poisoned the pool of a house right by the station, and they caught him red-handed.
How dumb can you be? Why would you, okay, first of all, he's crazy for poisoning people. Second of all, if you know you're going to do it, why would you do it somewhere that's close to the police station? Like, that's just dumb on so many levels.
They brought him in for questioning. John and my mom showed up. I was so terrified and confused that I hugged my mom. She cried and explained the truth to me. She hadn't cheated on my dad. My dad had been threatening to hurt her and me for years. When she left in the middle of the night with John, it was because it was her only chance to escape. I had been too young to realize how abusive he was to her. The cops finally got the truth out of my dad. He had poisoned the pool and I, in an attempt to bring our family back together. He thought the tragedy would make us a family again, when in reality it tore us apart even more. When he was released, he started doing it to
How did he even know that bleach could poison a pool? Guys, does that actually work? Like, I really wonder. And if it does, how did he know?
the family's pools, hoping it would make families more united and closer together. The logic made me sick. For the first time ever, I saw my dad for what he was, a sick man. He was sentenced to jail for a long time, and I even testified against him. My mom and John are both in my life. I gave birth to a healthy baby girl, and although life has been weird,
My apologies to James, Charles, and Jonathan.
I also have my weird little family.
Okay guys, that's going to be it for today. And if you liked the video, smash the like button. If you didn't, then goodbye. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.